What's up, guys? I'm Mike from StockedUp, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. The market had an amazing day today with the S&P 500 breaking all-time highs. We have a lot of great picks and a ton of great information in this video. Make sure to stick around. Like I said, we have a ton of great plays for tomorrow. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. But Tom, what happened in the market today? I know that there was a lot of movement across a lot of different sectors, and DraftKings is really popping.
Yeah, DraftKings is pretty much an unstoppable force right now as we head into the Super Bowl weekend. And there's going to be a lot of people on DraftKings and on different websites using them to sports bet and just to bet in general on these two on the Super Bowl this weekend. And it's a very nice thing to see them all the way up at highs around $63, $64. And I think that over the next couple of days, we might see a retest of all-time highs, and DraftKings might break the barrier and they might fly up to maybe $70 or something. Who knows the exact amount, but it would be very awesome to see them break that all-time high, and they're getting very close to it. And this is a very hyped up stock, and the Super Bowl is just going to add to their numbers. So just keep an eye on DraftKings for sure.
For sure. I mean, I like them as a company. I like them for the long term, and I love this short-term movement. And of course, like you talked about a couple days ago on how they might run up before the Super Bowl. So overall, it's looking great.
Yeah, like you said, how I called it out a few days ago, it really ran above that $61 level, which was the key number to look for. And it actually bounced off of it this morning and then went all the way up to $63 throughout the day, which was nice. But Ford also had some interesting earnings come out just now, and they posted a 34-cent EPS versus an expected loss of 7 cents. So they're actually going up in after hours, popping from 11.40 to 11.86, which isn't the largest move in the world. But keep in mind that Ford is a pretty low price stock in the $11 range, and their revenue was $33.2 billion versus a $33.89 billion expected. So they actually lost out on that a little bit, but there's actually some pretty interesting information with Ford. They're going to be cutting production at their Michigan and Missouri plants that produce a lot of the profitable F-150 trucks, and they're actually cutting this production due to a global semiconductor shortage. And this shortage is pretty bad. A lot of these modern vehicles are ran off of these different semiconductors and different computer modules. Ever since cars have gotten away from carburetors and stuff, you know, the modern car computers pretty much control everything from the windows to the radio to even how much air and fuel goes into the engine whenever the engine's actually working. So there's just a lot of information on Ford, and these earnings are really nice to see. And I just, I'm glad that Ford's popping, but it says that they have some production problems in Michigan and Missouri. So I would have expected them to kind of go down, but maybe they'll go down as earnings kind of play out here over the next few minutes and over the next couple days.
Gotcha. So we know we have to definitely check in with GME and AMC. It's not looking good at all. But another runner from last week was KOSS. This stock went from about, what is it, $3 all the way up to 127. And I heard some interesting news what some insiders did with KOSS. So can you update us there?
Yeah, the executive directors and members of the COSS family actually sold more than $44 million worth of their stock over the past week or 2 weeks, which was weird to see. And they didn't reach out, or they didn't comment whenever CNBC actually reached out for a comment from them. So nobody knows why they sold their shares, but obviously it was pretty smart to do that while the market was in that type of frenzy, because that stock might not go up to $40 or $60 for a few years now. That was just an unprecedented rise up to 127. Good for them if they were able to get out at those prices, but man, it just seems like a crazy way to get out of those shares. And obviously, if you were an executive or a director and you were holding those shares, you would have been pretty darn happy to see KOSS running up to 127.
I mean, for sure. I mean, back in March, KOSS stock was around 80 cents and it ran all the way up to $127. So I'm sure anyone that has been holding this stock for a while or who has a lot of equity in that company would definitely consider selling out like they did. But it's definitely some interesting information. Do we have any other news for today?
Really just KOSS and GME, even AMC. Those stocks are still going down. GME had another pretty bad day, down 42%, unfortunately, and it's actually moving pretty good below the 100 SMA, which is a pretty good technical I like to look at. Man, it's not looking too good for GameStop. Hopefully, it can kind of bounce off of $45 or $50 and kind of hold where it is, but it's just not looking too good.
For sure. Well, let's get right into our Discord member of the day. So today's member of the day is Hunter, our Discord moderator. So we have a ton of people in the Discord chat, and it gets a little hectic sometimes. But Hunter always does a great job, handling everything in a good way. So huge shout out to Hunter. He's super active and super helpful for everyone. Thank you for everything you do, Hunter. And let's get right into our momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have Home Depot to the upside.
Yeah, with Home Depot, just make it pass above 279.50. And I really like the way this stock's starting to move, possibly retesting 282 tomorrow.
For sure. With the next one, we have Visa to the upside.
Yeah, V, go ahead and make them pop above 210.
All right. And the last one, we have QCOM, which is Qualcomm to the downside. So they had some pretty bad earnings yesterday, and they're kind of tanking.
Yeah, I would just make them pass below 145.20. But if you want to be a little bit more risky, you can make them pass below 147.
Sounds good. So we are eyeing Home Depot and Visa potentially to the upside for quick day trades only if they can break above the level Tom listed. And we are eyeing Qualcomm potentially to the downside only if they can break below the level Tom listed. These are just for some quick day trades and only if they break the levels Tom listed. But let's get right into our $7.8 million trade that expires tomorrow. So we are looking at the Netflix 560 strike call options that expire tomorrow, February 5th. So looking at this play, Netflix is kind of creeping up to 560. I mean, I can see Netflix rising tomorrow. It's just the main question is, will it hit 560? And the odds are not in its favor. I mean, I can see it rising. I just don't know about it hitting 560. So initially, I would think it's like a covered call just because the options are about $8 out of the money.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that Netflix is bouncing off that support around 550, maybe 555. I think a lot of people expected this stock to keep running up more than it did today whenever it broke above these previous highs. And it was pretty interesting to see it kind of pull back here at the end of the day. And now we're kind of sitting back on that 550 support. So hopefully we can kind of hold these levels. But just like you said, I would think that it's covered calls unless they know something and then they think Netflix is going to go up tomorrow or they think the overall market's going to go up. But on the daily chart, it almost just looks pretty bearish to me.
For sure. Well, let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. We have Richard with the first question saying SPCE seems like a great stock with a relatively recent focus of ARKX, which is a new ETF from ARK, in collective space stock movement. And he also said loving DraftKings for the long term as always. So, looking at DraftKings especially, I mean, I really like it too. But Tom, what's going on with your stock? SPCE ran up to like $63 today. What's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of news coming out with all the test flights and stuff like that with SPCE. And just keep in mind that there's a lot of uncertainty with those test flights and stuff as they're upcoming. So that's going to put a lot of volatility into this stock. And it really double topped here at like 62.90 right before it hit $63. And then it just tanked all the way back down to 54. It started off as a pretty decent morning with the stock, and then it just fell off the board. I don't know what happened to it. But I will say that the movement to the downside is pretty significant on it.
For sure. With the next question, we have Travis saying, what do you think of Square leading into earnings? So, as you know, we don't play the actual earnings release, but we do like to play before earnings and after earnings. I like it right now. I mean, Square had a pretty great day today, finished up nice. I like it right now to the upside. I like it for the long term too. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I really like it. I really like it for a quick momentum play, especially if it can pass above 239.31, which was the high of today. But on a daily, I really like it above that level, like I said. And I just think that it looks pretty good. It bounced off of that support down there. What's the level? Like 197 or 200. I think that was a great level that it bounced off of. And as long as we hold that, it could be a pretty good play in the short term. In the long term, man, I would think Square has to pull back a little bit, but it did have a pretty decent pullback from 246 all the way back to 200.
True that. With the next question, we have Perez saying, "Great job as always. What do you think about Apple and Kia? I believe this will drive Apple even higher than anyone thinks in the near future. Of course, it'll depend on the first production car forecast to be delivered. What do you think?" So, great question. And we actually saw Apple kind of pop off in after hours yesterday on news with Apple, kind of like partnering with Kia. So obviously, anything with electric vehicles has been getting a ton of great attention, and Wall Street loves it lately. So overall, I love Apple for the long term. For the short term, I like it too. What are you thinking, Tom?
Yeah, I think Apple looks great on a daily chart. It double topped here around 138 and then even fell down, hit the support around 130 and then broke that high. I just really like that type of setup. It shows that the stock is still strong and it's not going to start falling down or anything over the next few months. I think that this stock can hold its ground. The main thing to look at is that car news, like you said. That's great news with them and Kia as they try to make that iCar going forward. And I just think that that's a great sector for Apple to get in. I mean, it's just a company that's always innovating and just trying to get on the next level. And I don't think that anybody expected a phone company to go ahead and try to actually start to make cars and stuff like that.
Make cars and then make their own chips too. I mean, it seems like they're really just innovating so much, like as always. But like to me, it seems like they're really innovating, like especially with the EVs and their own chips, and like as we know, a couple months ago, like how they kind of like broke off from Intel. So I don't know. I love them for the long term though, and I'm excited to see what they come up with in terms of like their electric vehicle. The
Yeah, and
next
it's supposed to have autonomous driving to it as well. And autonomous driving could be a pretty big factor with Apple. Like if they come out with a better autonomous system like the Tesla system or something, that could be a pretty good like marketing factor and it's going to put a lot of competitive edge into the market cuz right now pretty much Tesla is one of the only like self-driving vehicles out there.
True that. With the next question, we have Brewdog asking us to take a look at Walmart. So I also like Walmart for the long term. For the short term, I think they look decent. I mean, I don't love the setup. I mean, it's okay. It's not my favorite setup in the world. I like more tech stocks right now for the short term. Do you have any thoughts on this, Tom?
Yeah, it actually just moved below the 100 SMA. And then there's also a pretty good resistance here, right around where Apple is, actually around 143. The after hours movement on it looks pretty decent. It looks like it might start going up on an intraday chart, but on the daily chart, it's starting to scare me. It looks like it's starting to actually taper back off to the downside. And if that does happen, that might not be the best thing for Apple going forward. And obviously, like a higher corporate tax rate or something, that obviously hurts Walmart like more than other companies with how many sales and stuff Apple does.
For sure. With the next question, we have JJ saying, "I was so confused about Amazon's stock price. The earnings report is really good. Not sure why the stock price is down so much." So, just because a stock reports great earnings, that doesn't always mean it will rise. Like Apple reported great earnings and they kind of tanked too. And then with Amazon too, they got a new CEO. So overall, they reported great earnings, which should be great for the company for the long term. But this is just one reason why I hate to play earnings, because even if you predict the direction correctly, you can still lose money. But even if they report great earnings, they could also fall. So overall, I think they're going to do great in the long term, though. But it just goes to show you how unpredictable the movement after an earnings release can be. But overall, I do like them for the long term.
Yeah, and Jeff Bezos stepping down also has a pretty big factor in that.
For sure. And then with the next question, we have a lot of people talking about AMC, Tom, SPCE. Do you have any like thoughts on AMC? Because I know last week everyone was just talking about GameStop, AMC, BlackBerry. Like, do you have any thoughts or analysis? Like, I know it's been a pretty crazy week, let alone past 2 weeks. But do you have any thoughts on AMC specifically?
Yeah, I mean, with AMC specifically, I'm seeing a pretty good support here around the $7 mark. Keep in mind it might move to like 650 or something like that, but somewhere between like 650 and $7 seems like a pretty decent support area for AMC. And hopefully AMC can hold these levels for a lot of reasons, but you can see the 1,000 SMA right here. It actually bounced off of that, which was actually right on that support level I said. And then we're also getting very close to that level once again. I think that if it breaks this to the downside, we might start to see AMC possibly fall below $6 and then maybe back down into that $5 range, which would be pretty bad. But hopefully it can like kind of hold where it is. But I personally, I'm not sure what to think of it. It's almost getting back down to the levels it was at before it started really popping up, which is a good thing to see as it starts to kind of normalize again. But I just think that, man, if we start breaking this 650 to $7 support, this stock could start going way back down.
I just hope the main thing that everyone who traded GameStop or AMC or any other hype stock, I just hope that the main lesson is to always have a plan, because I know that there were a lot of people that kind of just randomly threw money in GameStop and AMC, and it's just a big lesson to be learned, in my opinion. It just goes to show you how important it is to have a plan, to have proper risk management, and just to know what you're getting into before you invest your money into something. So overall, I think it's going to be a big learning lesson for a lot of people, but I think ultimately it'll be a great lesson. So Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market for tomorrow?
Yeah, for my insight tomorrow, I'm going to be looking at the sector of different airlines. I'm really looking at LUV and like UAL, DAL. I'm really looking at all those like Southwest Airlines. I think that those airlines are due to recover pretty well. I like the defined resistance around $49.50 to $50 on LUV. I also think that DAL is another very good one. UAL and AAL can be a little bit more worrisome as they're down a little bit more. They haven't recovered quite as well. And AAL is obviously doing pretty bad on the chart if you compare them to Delta or anyone like that. But yeah, I really like this sector though, and I think that selling some puts right now could be a very smart way to go on these airlines.
Sounds great. So I just want to clarify. Shorting puts is a lot different than buying puts. Shorting puts is like a cash secured put where you can actually get the right to buy the stock instead of actually betting against it. So I just want to clarify that. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to trade the same options as Tom and I every single day, you can click the first link in the description down below. We don't win every play, but we do win most of them. And we've had a pretty great past 3 weeks or so. So definitely check it out. If you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. And if you are new here and like the video, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. But other than that, thanks for watching.